welcome to my YouTube channel, Juliet Neil Crafts. So it's time for Dawn and Julie Create, woohoo! And I chose it this time, so I put this whole thing together based on the knowledge that both Dawn and I have recently purchased this gorgeousness, which is the new mixed media souffle from Craftbox UK. So I've got Fool's Gold and Precious Opal. I've had a very quick play with one of them. I think I used Precious Opal on the whale mixed media thing that I did a little while ago, so if you scroll down you'll be able to see that. So I knew I wanted to play with these. I also knew that both of us had these Samantha K chipboards, and they have been, I was given these by the lovely Sam a while ago, and yeah, I made some stuff, and then life has just been so busy and hectic that yeah, I didn't make any more. So it was a good excuse to use those, and yeah, because I was thinking mixed media, thinking soft and pretty. I added this in because personally I like a sentiment on everything and I like a focal image, so I said we can have one pop out image from here. So I've kind of used quite a bit. I reckon Dawn will go for one of the owls. I reckon she'll go for one of the owls on hers. So one image from here. I haven't decided which yet. I'm going to see how the piece goes. So you can choose one image and one sentiment from here. We can use gesso, acrylic paints, I think flowers from our stash, and gems, sort of basics like that. So I have been gradually working my way through these. I sort of inherited, well, it was when I was sorting out that lady's stuff, to be honest. She had quite a lot of the pens, and there was all this packaging, and it's like, oh, I'll have that. You know, I gave away half the craft stuff, sold all that, but I kept the packaging. I was just laughing because I might have said this, and I have no idea when actually this video got up before the other one I was just recording earlier. Yeah, I was sorting out my craft space. I've been moving things from the loft to the spare room. I don't know that it's helped. Well, it's helped in that everything's all in the one place, and it's helped because the loft is now also like, it's like my shop. So when I pack your orders and things, I'm doing it up there. And unfortunately that was all sort of getting a bit of a mess, so it was making every job that I did quite difficult. So that's much more organised up there, which is good, you know, seeing as it's a work base. Everything's down here, which feels good. I don't have to sort of go between loft and spare room anymore, but I've managed to fit it all in, which is fantastic. But at the same time, it's not particularly overly well planned in that I've got it all in, but it's like there's like boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes, and there's no point in buying decent storage that'll work in here because I'll be getting everything custom done for when the studio is done. So for just now, I'll just live with it. But yeah, as I was saying, so I've went through all of my stuff, and I'm going to have to de-stash a lot more actually. I'm going to have to get rid of quite a lot. I've got boxes and boxes of stamps that I'm just never going to use because quite frankly I'm kind of using my own stuff more now. So I'll have to go through it and see what are my firm favourites, maybe what has sentimental value, or you know, different things like that, and the rest of it will have to go. But I was laughing with Bev because she was sorting her craft room, you know, from Be Crafty. She was sorting her craft room out as well, and we were talking about the fact that you've got to be ruthless and get rid of things, and I was saying I was so ruthless and got rid of so many craft supplies you would not believe, and yet I saved packaging. You're like, oh no, don't throw out the packaging. So it's like, yeah, we'll save all the craft stuff, but no, don't throw the packaging. So I'm just putting a couple of coats of gesso on this. It will get another gesso, but this is going to be my substrate that I am working on, and like I will be, as I said, it will probably get another coat of gesso, and there will be paint, but because this is quite dark and I'm going to be putting those chipboards over it, I'm going to be doing all that as a base. I'm going to get all that stuck down tonight, and so it's all ready and dry, hopefully, for playing with tomorrow. But because the chipboards are quite delicate and they're a bit thinner than the MDF as well, the gesso could get really clogged in all the little elements. And one of the fabulous things about Samantha's work in her chipboards and MDF is that she manages to cut such incredibly fine detail from them that it's amazing. But if you've got that, you don't want to then clog that up with gesso. But at the same time, I know that this back piece is going to need quite a bit of work. So I'm just going to probably put another layer on now, and then I'll come back to you and we shall stick the chips. So that's probably had about 5 coats. Can still slightly see through it, but as I said, there will be getting another layer of gesso and paint eventually as well. So I know, look at that, it's just gorgeous. So I know I want to put some of this on now. I may end up adding extra bits at some point in time, you know, depending on what we feel we need. And I don't know whether to, well, that's quite nice in the corner. I like that. Right, I'm going to take these bits out to keep them aside. You can either use them on another mixed media project as random shapes, or you can use them to build up. Dawn does that a lot. She sort of uses it instead of like 3D foam and stuff like that. That's quite nice. So right now I'm just going to be fiddling with shapes. Although if I go for, once you've got that, then it's difficult, because then you don't have the same softness. The other shapes sort of provide quite a bit of softness to it. I'm going to end up chopping into this, I think. Right, so I like that, but I want some of the foliage on both sides of it. So this is the thing, especially chipboard. Chipboard is so easily chopped. You can actually cut through your MDF as well, but chipboard's a breeze to cut through. So I feel like I want that. I don't like the even number of leaves. I'm going to chop that. And again, I keep all this. So we've still got a, there we go, put it that way maybe. I don't particularly like that right now, but I'm going to leave it there for this moment in time, because yeah, it could work once we get a few more things on it. So let's get some of these swirls. Let's try to decide what swirl to go for. Let's get some of these swirls out. So I'm wondering what Dawn will do, how she will handle it. I know she'll enjoy it. This is right up her street. But, you know, to be honest, I have lots of incredible, my head now is so full of ideas for Dawn and Julia Creates, because I've been sorting through all my rubbish. And I've got a pile of it I'm going to send Dawn. She's going to love me. She's going to get this like package, this regular package of utter junk. Like, thank you. So yeah. Sometimes it's quite good tidying up your craft space for that, because you do just sort of, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that a lot. Right, let's just get all these extra bits out. And the other thing as well is I think I'm going to get away with using my normal PVA glue on this, which means that we don't have to sort of wait for the same drying time. So I'm having difficulty popping this one out. Although I have lost my crafting nails. I was really naughty and picked my gel nails off. And yeah, completely wrecked my nails, and now they keep breaking. Mind you, to be honest, even when I'm good with my gel nails and take it off properly, I still always find that, I don't know, for some reason gel nails really destroy my nails. But I like it all looking pretty, so I kind of go through stages of, yeah, I want pretty nails, and then, no, I want healthy nails. But I have ordered a few bits and pieces. I've ordered a electric nail file, so hopefully that will help to sort of get through the top layers of gel polish a bit more. And then I've ordered this stuff. I did use it last time actually, it was quite good. This Miley stuff. Oh, I like that. I'm going to take that and have that instead. but I'm going to add some of the leaves coming off it, and I think that could be it for this layer. Yeah, so it helps it to pop off, and I've ordered some nail strengthener. So I'm hoping that if I can sort of just get my nails to a stage where they're looking slightly healthier. I like that like that. I think that is me for this layer. How pretty is that? Okay, so I don't even know why I was talking about my nails. Oh yeah, it was because they were so wrecked. They're like little stubs, and I'm used to using this nail for crafting, and so it's like I seem to find that I just actually don't have the ability to pick anything up. It's like, ah. Right, so let's get this. I will definitely just be gluing this, probably, hopefully getting a layer of gesso over it, and then I will be going to bed because it is currently 11:30. I've been up filming some secret stuff, which I can't tell you about just now, and that absolutely had to get done. And then I'm thinking I'm going to end up having to do this. So it's now currently Thursday night. This is due up on Saturday, but I know that the souffle stuff, you can, if you want, encourage it to dry with your heat gun, but if you do, it will turn slightly milky. So at the minute, the binder of all that, if you just leave it dry naturally, it dries clear, so you end up with this glorious texture that's all glittery and gorgeous, and it looks fabulous. I have to say, what I saw, I've used it briefly, I've not had a good play, but I was watching Anna on Hachanda explain it. So apparently if you heat set it, there is a chance that it could dry slightly milky rather than drying clear, and I know I want it to dry clear, so that means that between creating this project I need to allow time for that to dry, but I also have to have it ready in time, so I kind of want to be at least getting the bulk of this done tomorrow, even if I have to sort of film first thing Saturday morning to show it dried nice and clear. But it's just to give myself a head start, if I can be at the stage of just needing, I'm going to overlap my chipboards as well, and this is the thing with chipboards, you can't, because they're slightly thinner, you can sort of layer one on top of the other. These are quite detailed, so I almost don't want to, because I don't want to lose the pattern of them overly, but there we go. So we've popped those in like so, and then I've got that there. I am very happy. I feel like maybe we should have something there as well. We've probably got a little swirl, or even if we have to sort of nab a little part of a swirl just to get that in. Right. So I'm kind of almost creating my own swirls there, because I've got the leaves that I picked off of that bit and then put onto there, but yeah, I just feel like this bit is a bit blank. So what other swirls do we have? We've got a little diddly one there. I don't think I want the whole thing, but yeah, so I'm just going to chop in there and take that last curve off there, and then that should sort of fit flat. Oh, that almost looks like another leaf of the flower. That wasn't planned, but a very happy accident. Right, so I am going to just pop that there, and then hopefully this is dry enough for me just to pop a layer of gesso over it. I am now going to switch. I did my 13 Arch gesso earlier because it is thicker. So I have 3 favourite gessos, to be honest, for different reasons. And I genuinely couldn't choose between them. It depends what I'm using them as to which one's my favourite. So I've just used 13 Arch Gesso, and I feel that is my favourite because it's slightly thicker, which means you can also, it's more opaque. So because I was trying to cover that black, it was important. So I can't open this now. So as I was saying, yeah, the 13 Arts is thicker, so it's more opaque. So because I was wanting to cover that quickly, that became my one of choice. Now, as I was saying, these chipboards are absolutely beautiful, and it would be so easy to clog them with gesso, and so I find a thinner gesso slightly better. I need to buy some more because I'm completely out of it, but one of my favourite gessos is the Pinto spray gesso, and I think that is fab. In fact, you know, I think I'm going to go on and order that tomorrow. I ordered some other things that I've ran out of and I'm needing, but I should have thought and got the gesso as well. So what is good about the spray is it gets into all the nooks and crannies really easily, so it's time saving, but also as well you don't get the cloggage. So if I was to use my 13 Arch Gesso on this, I would probably be spending a lot longer trying to take it out. I mean, it depends what look you're going for. It's just, I just think these are so delicate and beautiful that I kind of want to maintain the delicacy of them. So I'm just popping a bit on here. I'm trying not to have too much on my brush, and I'm going to just get that on there like so. So yeah, so it depends on partly my mood, because you'll nearly always hear me say, "But 13 Arts, I love it," and I do. When I have to say, Dawn was the introduced me to 13 Arts Gesso, and she sent me a tiny tub of it, and it was for a Dawn and Julia Crate, and I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And I think it's because it is so thick that I absolutely love that. And especially, you know, if you're starting out and you've maybe not got the funds to buy absolutely everything that's available, the 13 Arts Gesso is brilliant in that it very easily, without trying, doubles as a texture paste. I mean, I quite often just pop it through a stencil as is. I don't even, whereas like you can with a gesso like this, you can add more to it and mix bits in. Angela and I were doing that with our collaboration. We were sort of mixing things into our gesso to sort of like create a texture paste. So you can do that with your thinner gessos, but the fact that it's quite thick, it's perfect for that. Yeah, that's my waffle about gesso. I'm kind of thinking I might actually even get to the painting stage tonight. What time is it? My husband's busy watching Top Gear, so I think he'll quite easily be quite distracted. I really need to stop going to bed quite so late though. It's no good for me. I wake up with a really bad, if I have too many late nights, I really do get bad migraines with it. And it's like I woke up this morning with a migraine because I'd stayed up too late last night. And now I'm going to do it again tonight, which is not really a good idea, but it's also very tempting to sort of get this to the stage that I need it to be at. Right, I've applied quite a thin layer of that. I'm just going to, while I'm at it, pop another bit in there, because it seems it's going to have to dry anyway. Another bit on that background. Now I've said acrylic paints, and again I hadn't kind of taken into consideration the fineness of this chipboard again. I'd sort of forgotten about that, but I'm hoping that some of the Craftbox UK paints that I've got, the Lumis, I'm hoping they're acrylic based. I have a feeling they are, because they would be perfect, because they've been designed just for this sort of thing. So I'm going to just have a little root through those, read the ingredients to make sure they are what I think they are, and I'm sticking to the brief and I don't end up on the naughty step. There we go. So I'm going to check that and we will be back just okay. I've got my Lumis. I'll tell you, my arms are killing me because I've this one. You hear that? So there's a ball in there, and so there's a ball in all of these, but I've not managed to get these two yet so that I can hear the ball. But yeah, my arms are too sore, so I'm not carrying on anymore. Right, so these are my Lumis. I have had a look. It doesn't say on the lid whether they are acrylic or not. They're definitely not watercolour. I am 99% sure these are actually acrylic paints. I seem to remember, because I took a workshop with Anna, I seem to remember that she deliberately designed these as a very, very thin paints. The reason being that she likes to work with snip art quite a lot, and as I was saying about, you know, clogging and losing the detail, that sort of bothered her about acrylic paints, and so she developed these ones. And I just had a look on her website. She must be sold out of all of her paints because there's nothing there for just now. She did teach us to put them out into a little paint pan, and I don't do that. Partly because if you've got a paint palette with 4 or 5 colours in it, and then all of a sudden, like, you don't use all the paint in it, you cannot then... I'm looking for a brush. That, honestly, I've gone through all my brushes today. It's ridiculous. It's because I'm at the end of the day. It is later in the day now, and I have been crafting for quite a lot of the day, and now I'm just trying to... I'm not quite big enough, but... yeah, so what was I saying? So the reason that she gets you to thing it out is because you literally have to keep stirring this stuff, because the mica sinks so quickly. So it's best to see how thinly that goes round. It's best to have it so that you can stir it as you use it, which is why she gets you to put it out into a little paint palette, and that's what we had when we were doing the workshop. However, I discovered when I was doing that I would invariably put out far too much, and if you've got 3 or 4 different colours in a little paint palette, you can't pour it back in. It's just impossible without wrecking it. As I was saying, so if you watch me as I stir that, you can see the colour is changing, and that is because that mica sunk, which is why you kind of have to stir and work as you go. I wanted a wee little ombre effect, and I wanted quite nice neutral soft colours because the elements in that paper pack that we're getting to embellish with is very soft colours. So this isn't actually my normal sort of colour palette of choice. I don't know if Dawn will attempt to guess. Dawn seems to quite like to guess what I'm going to do. What image. As I said, I'm guessing that she'll use an owl. But if you do pour it into the lids like that, obviously you saw me struggling earlier to open my gesso, so it's not a good idea. Well, it's not a good idea, I wouldn't pour it back in there and then put it straight in. What I would do is I sort of pour it in, use as much of the paint as I possibly can, and then I would just give the lids a little run under the sink, just to clean them, just to make sure that there's nothing on the edges. And I'm just going to bring that down. As I say, I'm trying to create a bit of an ombre effect with this. So I'm kind of going from light to dark, but I will sort of go over that a little bit. I am having to sort of work it a little bit as we've come to these detailed parts. So yeah, I would just sort of clean the lids before you put it away, because otherwise obviously you're going to waste your paint and that you will not be able to get the lid off because it'll all be stuck in the grooves. I should have let this gesso dry a little bit, but I was just quite excited at being able to sort of get ahead, so I'm a further along stage when I actually go to film again tomorrow. So yeah, so that's how I use them. But if you use them direct from the pot, you lose out on that fabulous sheen. So that is, as I said, that's the way Anna taught us to use them when I went to her workshop. I'm a bit gutted though. I mean, obviously people have to make decisions based on their business and stuff like that, but one of the reasons that I absolutely loved that workshop was it was in St. Ives, and her place was right next to the river, and honestly for me, I just love water. I love being by the water, so crafting by the water was just such a, it was what made me, I mean, I've looked at lots of people's workshops and I've never done one, but that is what sold it in the end. It was like, oh, by the river, oh lovely. And it was my first weekend. I've never been away on my own, ever in my life. So I can't remember, what am I now, 43 now, so I'd have been 41. First time I've ever travelled on my own. Been on holiday on my own. So it was a couple of days and it was just lovely, and I would get my breakfast early and I would go for a little walk along the river and then go into my craft class. Then after craft class, I'll go and get a glass of wine. I'll sit by the river, have a glass of wine. Oh, it was just lovely. But what made it so good for me was that closeness to the water. And she's moved her studio now, so she's somewhere else. I think obviously with the pandemic as well, she was having to travel. She's got a YouTube channel. This is how I've learned all this. It's not like I've spoken to her personally, but I think she was thinking of it anyway, to do with space saving. But obviously it was a bit more difficult for travelling with the whole COVID pandemic going on. So she's got a different premises. But the fact that that premises, I'm not sure if it's next to water, so I'm like, oh no. But we'll wait and see. We'll see what fun things. It looks like 2021 might be another year of helping us appreciate the little things in life. And we may get a bit of a normality in 2022. Let's wait and see. Okay, so this has turned out a little bit darker than I was expecting. That's my fault. Well, it's not, I wouldn't necessarily say it's my fault. It's just the way that I've ended up blending the colours. There's nothing, nothing bad about the way I've done it. So I'm just going to give that a quick waft. I probably shouldn't, but it's just so that I can give it a bit of a second coat. And then I am going to go to bed. Yeah, so in my head I just kind of thought this project was going to be very soft and pretty, but it still probably will be, because I think we will probably, I probably should have shaken that before I put more out. It still probably will be, but it's just a bit darker than I'd fully expected. Now, so one of the advantages of these paints is it is really thin, so that is going on there absolutely fine, but I'm also just sort of able to go in with my brush and pick that up really easy. And as I said, Anna had deliberately designed these for this purpose, because she found that she would have lovely, delicate, pretty chipboards that she bought herself, and then she'd kind of paint over them with her acrylic paints, and then all of a sudden the delicacy was lost because the paint filled in all those lovely little gaps, which is why I was sort of inclined towards them. So let's bring that. Plus they've got the most gorgeous sheen. It's because they've got the mica in them as well. Right, so I'm bringing that down, bring it down a bit further. I'm trying to work a bit faster so that the paint's a bit whiter as I transition. It's looking alright really, isn't it? Okay. So, I think that's me got all of the nooks and crannies out there. So I think that's probably me. I've just put a bit of a thumbprint in that bronzy colour. Let's give that a stir. Oops, got a bit carried away there. You ever stayed up too late and then you start feeling hungry? That's when you eat more, which is not good. Right, there we go. So that is me for just now, I think. So all I would do then is I will pour this back in as much as possible, and get my brush and just get as much of that out and back into the pot, so I can normally get it pretty clean with just the brush. Get all of that out, and then I would just either run it under the sink. It depends. I probably will, because there's just a wee bit of cloggage there. But just make sure my lid is clean, so when it goes back on, I'm not going to end up like jamming my pot together. So I'm just going to clean all of those out, and I will be back with you in the morning when this is all dry. Okay, so I have left that drying overnight. I now have cleanish hands. The desk has not been cleaned. But you know, we're making progress. I've actually got a whole load of boring paperworky sort of stuff to do today, so I'm just wanting to quickly get this to the next stage. So I like it. It has dried a bit paler, which is cool, but I kind of want it paler still because I just think it will go with the elements that are in that book. And also I want the chipboardy stuff to stand out a little bit. I may end up dry brushing again with like a metallic effect, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how my souffles are going to appear in this. In hindsight, I should have maybe given us a stencil as well, because I think you can put it through a stencil, so I'll maybe try that in another video. But yeah, this is the thing when you put these things together, you sort of have a look at it, and it's only as you're starting to play you're like, oh, actually I could have done with that. But if you've not put it in the brief, then it's too late. But it also means that we get to challenge our creativity a little bit, because when you can't reach for what you want to normally reach for next, you have to kind of think outside the box a little bit. Sometimes I like the results of thinking outside the box, sometimes I don't. But as Dawn said, even if you don't like the finished project when you're done, if you've learned something from it, then it's all good. So it's just knocking that back slightly. It's also very shiny, which is cool. But I kind of want the focus to be on the shiny souffle elements that we're going to add. So this is going to give this a bit more of a distressed feel, which, as I said, I think will suit the elements from the paper pack. So let's just get that all down like so. There we go. So now we can sort of see the chipboard a bit more. It's standing out from the background. So we're still at sort of an in-betweeny stage. It's like, this is the sort of stage where you're kind of like, why is she painting it all and then painting it over it again so you can't see it anymore? It can seem a little bit strange adding all these sort of layered bits, but it does, when you get there in the end, the fact that you've spent time sort of slowly layering it, it does make a difference on your overall piece, because those layers are there and they do sort of shine through a little bit. Right, so I'm going to grab my book now. Let's have a little look and see what we've got in there. So I think I'm going to go for this owl. I think Dawn will go for an owl. I definitely think she'll choose an owl. She has a thing about for owls, and I reckon she'll maybe go dusky pinks in her colours. Now I am going to take advantage, because all of this, so it was one pop out, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fussy cut close to the owl like so. So this is the thing when you get these things, you don't have to use them as they are given to you, but if I do that, then I can then have some spare, because I didn't include foliage, I just included a character and a sentiment, but because that was part of the pop out, I now have a bit of extra foliage. So very clever. Plus I just thought the owl went quite well. I kind of flicked through, some of them were too small, some of them were too big. So this one was just right, like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Okay, so let's undo that. Okay. Oh look, isn't she so cute? I also got this center sentiment, which actually I've sadly ripped whilst taking it out, which is a little bit disappointing, but I really don't want the antlers. So I'm going to cut the antlers off. And I'm going to continue to fussy cut around, because it's kind of like shaped round the dreamer part. But I like the dreamer, but I didn't want the rest of it. As I said, sadly I've ripped it slightly, but I'm just hoping that with a bit of glue I can glue that back down, and hopefully with everything else going on with the project we'll not notice quite so much. So now we've got a sentiment as well. dreamer. Oh, it's so cute. I literally cannot pick anything up off the table. My nails are so short, it is driving me nuts. So I'm going to cut around those. As I said, that's going to give us added foliage. We can actually use paper flowers, so it's all good. I might have to get used to it. I never use tweezers, but I might actually have to consider it, because I am definitely having difficulties picking things up. Okay, so that's me got a little bit of extra foliage there. So let me have a little look in my paper flower stack. Right, I'm thinking that it's dangerous, I know. It's dangerous pastime, I know. Right, maybe that's too big. Then we don't have the contrast, but then we could have it if we dry gesso it. Right. Okay. Let's have Mr. Owl. Right, let's see, do we actually need those big ones? Although I do feel like I need some sort of contrast, so yeah. Make up your mind, women! Right. Let's go with something like that. And then we've got a pink one. I'm going to chop these. Chop these off. Okay. Dangerous past. Actually, I think I'll just need to let's get the flower arrangement right, and then I can try and stick the owl in after the fact. So, I feel like we need another diddy one. I've got another one of these, and I've got some more little lilac diddy ones. So yeah, we're good to go. So what I can do is let's get a paler one here. So I think we need the one of those. Right, we found another one of those, which is cool. And then we can have one like that, and then this is very highly floraled for me. One up there, so that we're coming down like that. And then a little dreamer can pop in there, like so. Right, so I'm going to get that down, and then I'm also thinking, because we still have some more we didn't use all the chipboards, and there was a leaf one in it, so I might sort of put that in as like a normal chipboard, what do you call it, like a normal chipboard shape. I'm going to go for hot glue. I was going to go for gel medium, but this isn't overly heavy, so I think the hot glue should hold it well enough, to be honest. Plus I can't see it going anywhere where it's going to get trampled about. Maybe I should have had. I forgot about my extra foliage parts. do that curving that way. Yeah, that doesn't look brilliant right now, but right, I'm going to grab my phone and take a photo of that because I'm bound to forget whilst I'm waiting for my glue gun to heat up. But I think that looks quite cute. I think we're getting there. It's getting there. Right, let's see. Right, I'm just going to wait for my glue gun to heat up a little bit. Okay, so I have actually just gone ahead and stuck that down because you saw me faffing about with it, so I didn't think you particularly need to see me stick it down. So this is the chipboard piece that I was thinking, and I'm thinking that we could just add little pieces of this here and there and just sort of maintain its like chipboard colour, and that'll add a bit of contrast to the other chipboards going down. To be honest, I did think I was going to be layering these chipboards, but I wanted to see each layer, if that makes sense, rather than it getting blurred into sort of texture. So we can put quite a few of these on and it'll just sort of extend our floral arrangement a little bit and also just give it a bit more interest. Again, I'm just using my glue gun. To be honest, you'd probably be better with your gel medium or a wet glue rather than your glue gun, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. So again, as I was saying earlier, don't be afraid to sort of snip into your products and make them work for you. You know, this was one big swirl, but it doesn't mean it has to go into your project as one big swirl. It's just a bit big again. I'm actually just going to take that off, so I've just got the end leaves. Yeah, it's quite cute, and it's giving that, I suppose in my head when I put the, you know, what we were doing together, I kind of had like a really natural woodland feel going on, and I think the sort of naked chipboard just helps to give that feel. So yeah, I'm just now going to pop just going to neaten that up a little bit. As I said, because this is chipboard, it's really easy to chop in with your scissors with not much effort at all. If you get little glue strings using your hot glue gun, don't worry about... Also, don't stick it to your finger, it hurts. Ow! I was going to say, if you do get little glue strings, you can take them away with your heat gun. Also maybe like turn your work so you don't flip things over and accidentally stick it to your finger instead. Right, is that enough? I think we could maybe have some peeking out. I'm just going to go for single leaves now, to be honest. I could have some sort of peeking out in various places. I think because this is getting a bit more delicate, I'm going to switch to lesson learned. My finger's still throbbing, so not as bad. I really burnt my hand on it once. I was taking a class, and yeah, obviously for insurance purposes I have to give a warning every single time we use the glue gun. So I'd always say be careful when you use the glue gun, it is hot and it sticks like glue, you know. And then the class had ran over slightly and the shop was closing and we were having to pack up, and thankfully everyone was really kind and was sort of packing up with me. We were having to pack up as they're sort of closing the store, and I turned all the heat guns off, but obviously I hadn't waited long enough and I literally just picked it up by my hand, and oh boy, everyone's like, have you got a cold? And I'm like, no, I'm just trying really hard not to cry. Yes, that little one is throbbing away there. I'm going to feel that for a while, so do be careful. Right, and then so we've got that, and now we've got our little, I can can see me having to sort of chop some body parts off this a little bit. Right. Oh, I'm just going to go and put my finger under hot water. Not hot water, cold water. So I just briefly ran my finger under cold water there, just so that I can think, and I've chopped our owl's little legs off. So I'm just going to shape him slightly and then get some of the spare chipboard and use that to build it up a little bit. So Dawn does this a lot, but it is a great way of using up your chipboard, and obviously the whole project's got it in, so it's gonna, the depth is gonna be about right as well. So let's just pop a few layers of that on. I'm just going to put it down the centre because I want to sort of maintain it so that it looks slightly curved. Oops. Dropping my scissors on all fingers and thumbs today. And after we've hit this stage, I'm going to go have a cup of tea and then face all of the lovely admin-y stuff. Actually, it's not too bad. It's like I've got to take photographs of some stuff and write an article and yeah, stuff like that. Right, I'm just going to tuck the owl behind. I want to tuck it in amongst the flowers so it's peeking out from them. There we go. So he's ended up being a bit further over than when I first did it. And I've chopped his legs off, and that's just so that I can add the sentiment down there. Oh look, it's so cute! Right. And onto over his belly a little bit, there we go. Right, so I am just going to grab my white gesso again, and let's sort of just quickly dry gesso over these flowers. I have a feeling I didn't put black pen on the list. I will have to double check. That could be unfortunate. Right. So, I'm not wanting to do a lot, but I'm just wanting to, I've not got the best brush for this, but I've not cleaned up my brushes from last night. It's all still sitting in the paint pot, which is really bad. You really shouldn't do that to your brushes. So, a bit of dry gesso all over all of this. It will just sort of marry it all together. We will still get those undertones of the colour that the flowers were, but the white gesso sort of makes it look like they all belong together. It's sort of, there's an element that's unifying them, which is just lovely. Right. And I'll do a bit, oops, that was a bit heavy-handed. I'll do that up there as well. Bit heavier handed than I'd expected, so I'll see what I can just wipe off using my fingers there. Okay. There we go. Right. So that just sort of unifies it a little. And then I think I'm going to go for, I kind of want to use them both. We'll see. I've got Precious, this one's Precious Opal, so let's just experiment a little bit here. So this dries clear, so it's going to look very different once it's done. So I'm just going to get a brush, and I'm actually just going to squidge it into these flowers a little bit, so the flowers will have a lovely textured sparkle, and again this will sort of unify them all a little bit. So it's a glitter, but it's kind of almost mixed into some sort of clear texture paste. It's lovely stuff. And it looks so different once it's dry, and it also looks really, really different on black and white, so it is worth experimenting with different colours. So I'll brush that over the flowers. Hopefully when that's dry it will look amazing. We will see. Oops. There we go. Now, put a bit more on there. I want to also just sort of create little, like, chunky crevices of it sort of peeking out from underneath. So we'll do that. So this is all the opal. So I will put some of the fool's gold in as well, I think. As I said, this it's best to let it dry naturally if you can. Otherwise it can look a little bit milky, it'll not dry transparent if you've kind of force dried it a little bit. So if you want that look, that's fine, but just be aware that there is a possibility that that may happen. Okay, I have a feeling that this could become one of my new favourite products. I'm not one for lots of sparkle and glitter, but I think like this is sparkle and glitter. Having said that, I am still quite a girly girl. This is sort of sparkle and glitter, but not quite sit in your face. Right, let's pop in a little bit under the sentiment there. Right, and I may just grab a palette knife. Actually, I might do that with the fool's gold. Right, so we've got the opal there because I think it'd be quite nice to get both of them in. Oh, it looks so pretty. Right, I'm now going to get my palette knife and just scrape some of the fool's gold. I think the fool's gold would be nice on this background as well because I've gone for quite goldy colours obviously. So this is going to help to add texture. But it's also just going to give that glittery element to it. Oh, that looks so nice. I'm going to pop some here as well. Well, I've gone slightly heavier handed down here. Actually, I quite like that. So I may have to go back up there and make it heavy handed up there. Oh, look at that. It looks so pretty. Can't wait to see this dry. This is the problem though, I can't wait to see it dry, and so this is where you might be tempted to get the old heat gun out because it's looking so good and so pretty that you're like, I need to see it, I need to see what it looks like. But sometimes patience is a virtue. This may be one of those occasions. Alright, so that is me. I'm just going to pop a tiny bit down this corner as well. I'm quite impressed that I've managed to get both in, but I kind of wanted to make sure that they were separate as well, so that you could see the difference. Right, I want to put some down here. Rule of threes. It was bothering me that I had some on both sides and not any in that corner. Okay, so that is that for just now. I'm going to probably leave that for the entire day, and I'll be back with you this evening just to probably see how it's dried and add some finishing touches such as splatters. Okay, I will see you in a moment. Okay, so that has been drying. How good does that look? Look at all that blingage. It's fabulous, and it's got like an amazing texture to it as well. It really is very clever stuff. Yeah, so we've got the opal over the flowers, and then the fool's gold around the edges. So yeah, it's pretty. Can't wait to play with that product a bit more and learn a bit more about it and what it can do. But I have to say, I have enjoyed my initial experimentation with it. So I am just going to get some of my gesso, and I'm just going to add bit of water to that. And we can just add a few little splashes, and then I think we can call that done. So I'm just going to cover our owl a little bit. This is not wanting to play ball for me. Normally I would just pull out my little, oh actually, I've just realised it's acrylic and we're allowed acrylic, so I can just use this. Acrylic was on the list and this is acrylic, so we're all good. Right, so it's a liquid acrylic. Right, so let's get some good old splatters on this because I need it, and I double checked my message I sent to Dawn and I didn't put a black pen on it, so there will be no black pen work on this. Okay, so that is that all done now. So it is just sort of sheen, just I've used beautiful mica paint and it's just sort of catching my light, so I just need to do that. So that is it there. I am really chuffed with how that has turned out. Yeah, so it's a fun product. I have to say I love it. I love it and I love the results. I cannot wait to see what Dawn has done because I know that she is amazing. She loves her paper flowers, she loves her chipboards, she's great when it comes to mixed media. So I will definitely be heading over there at 6 o'clock to have a little nose at what she has been up to. So please do check her out as well. I know that you'll be well and truly inspired. I do think she will have an owl. She may well have gone for the dusky pinks as well, but I'll have to wait and see. I'll find out when you guys do. Okay, if you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing, and I will be back with you again very, very soon. Okay, take care then, and goodbye.